Madden holiday is here and we will play all night. Calling sick and sound sincere, in tackles will delight. The fridge is packed with drink and meat, the taste of victory sure is sweet.
Okay, so this isn't as much a review of Madden 22 as it is more of a initial thoughts vlog, for lack of a better term. Basically, I really have not had much of an opportunity to play it that much. I haven't been able to do any of the in-depth stuff like Face of the Franchise or Franchise Mode at all. Basically because I had to do 2 movie reviews in Shang-Chi and Candyman, and then I had to do the random trade review on Bone, and then I had to get the stuff ready so I could begin scripting the unwritten review for the random trade review on Unwritten Volume 2, I should say. I had to get that ready to be scripted as soon as I got back from my trip this Labor Day. So, yeah, like I said, everything is just kind of out of the ordinary. So, again, here's some initial thoughts and a little bit of a story as to my initial experience with Madden and purchasing it and everything. Okay, so back when I talked about pre-ordering Madden in the golf episode, I had to arrange everything to get picked up at Best Buy. I went there to pick it up, and the computer crashed. Not my computer, Best Buy's computer did. Basically, everything locked up, and for some reason it would not recognize anything. Like I said, it got locked up so bad, they basically had to go out and they had to print out receipts to hand fill everything. And so even then, when I got home, I still had to wait like maybe another hour or so to get it to recognize the purchase before I even felt safe trying to put it into the Xbox just then. And then, even when the purchase was recognized, I still didn't feel safe putting it in the Xbox because I had a couple of things I really needed to do, so that took another hour. And then, of course, once I finally put it in the Xbox, I had to wait for it to install and download the Day 1 update patch, but thankfully that didn't take too long. That only took about 40 minutes or so. Anyway, the game even then just didn't, load ordinarily. Instead, you had to play this little preview game between, well, it was basically a Super Bowl 55 rematch between Tampa Bay and Kansas City. Except the quarters were only 3 minutes long, and, well, that was basically it. Anyway, the Bucks won that game on a last-second field goal, in case you were wondering. Obviously, that's what you've been watching right here at this point, I think. That being said, boy, there are some problems with this game, aren't there? I mean, even more so than just ordinarily with Madden. I mean, what the heck happened to David Carr's face? I apologize if this offends anyone. I'm not trying to make fun of anyone who's had this malady, but it looks like they rendered him as if he had a cleft palate. I mean, just, oof, ugh. Not to mention, another point, sadly I didn't get any footage of this, but I was doing a game between the Broncos and the Rams, because they faced each other in the preseason, and the Broncos scored a touchdown, and for some reason the scoring animation for the Buffalo Bills came out, so I guess the Denver Broncos are now the Buffalo Bills? Yeah, weird. Other than that, the gameplay is, well, just pretty kind of bog standard, really. Nothing too spectacular. I mean, I would say they've probably tightened up the defensive AI a little bit. I'm definitely throwing more interceptions than I did in Madden 21. Also, I believe they've gotten rid of a lot of the wide receiver power-ups or X-boosts or whatever. I mean, those things you used to do, like, hit X and you could catch the ball on the run, hit Y to high spot it, or hit A to make sure you keep your feet in bounds. I think the only one that's worked so far for me is A. Or maybe that's just exclusive to multiplayer, I don't know. I also, when I was doing all these exhibition matchups, I tried to keep coming up with a bit more creative matchups. I did a lot of the preseason matchups and everything, but, tried to avoid division matchups just because, it's more of a regular season thing, and I just kind of fell flat after a while. There'll probably be more when I start doing Face of the Franchise, which I'm planning to do in the next Ramblings with Madden episode. So yeah, Madden 22 is definitely a step back from last year. And last year's I know got critically derided as well, but anyway. And like I said, I just kind of found it to be really bog standard and everything, at least so far. Like I said, I haven't done any of the other modes outside of Exhibition. I'm planning to start Face of the Franchise for the next Ramblings with Madden episode. And anyway, after the little break here, I'll talk a little bit about my vacation over Labor Day weekend.
They stole Aikman's brain. It's in Troy Aikman NFL football from Trade West. So now you can play the way Troy plays with Troy's own favorite plays. Called Troy's two-point conversion. Use Troy's exclusive general manager screen to build a Super Bowl champion. They stole Aikman's brain. It's in Troy Aikman NFL football at Kmart. Who would do such a thing?
So, as I said before, I'm back from my trip to Minneapolis-St. Paul and visiting my brother and sister-in-law. So, yeah, we spent Labor Day weekend over there. On Saturday, I got to go on a big geeking day. My brother and I hit up 3 of the big comic shops in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We hit the Comic Book College, we hit The Source, and then we hit Mind's Eye Comics last. And you're seeing some of the purchases up there right now. And yes, in particular, I bought a lot of the issues of Batman and Catwoman I've been missing, except for issue 4, which I just couldn't find anywhere, so I bought that digitally on Comixology. I've only just been able to start reading a lot of them now. I've made it through pretty much all of the Batman books, and that's just because I was so exhausted at the end of those days that I wasn't able to really read them in the hotel at all. Of course, we did some other things too. While my brother and I were out hitting up the comic shops, my sister-in-law took my father kayaking out on, I can't remember if it was a lake or a river nearby or anything. But yeah, they were out kayaking for a few hours, had some fun doing that. On Sunday, we went to the Minnesota Vikings Museum, where they had a whole bunch of really cool stuff about the history of the Vikings and the current day stuff and everything. Like, there's this really cool bit where they have all the Vikings Hall of Famers. They have a sort of interactive video that's triggered by putting your hand inside basically a rendering of their handprint in a football. So you bring that up and you bring up like a big bio information and stuff like that. They have all sorts of stuff about the Vikings Ring of Honor, about the various Super Bowl teams and the playoff teams and the teams that went to the NFC Championship game but didn't quite get to the Super Bowl, and Bud Grant and everything. It was really cool and really fun. Didn't really hit up the gift shop at all. There wasn't too much there, just a bunch of really expensive stuff, so nothing too important there. But other than that, it was pretty fun. Anyway, we stayed at a hotel in Hudson, Wisconsin, because the Minnesota State Fair was also wrapping up Labor Day weekend, so hotels were still kind of busy at that point. Hudson, Wisconsin's just across the river from, so it's right next door to Minnesota, so it wasn't too terribly far away. And it was kind of weird, as the hotel was called the Royal Inn, and they didn't have cable. They actually got everything through DirecTV, and wow, DirecTV has really taken a nosedive in recent years, hasn't it? I mean, like 2/3 of the channels are infomercials or home shopping. Like, really? That's all? That's all they could get? I mean, just really bare bones stuff. Like, and you still have to really hop around. Like, if you're looking for, say Cartoon Network or something, that's on like channel 296. Like, they don't really have things grouped together very well at all. Like, really, all of those infomercial channels should be kind of set, because it would be like, USA Network, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, infomercial, Nick Jr., Disney XD, infomercial, then mixed channel, whatever that means. It's just really weird. I didn't really bring too much. I didn't bring like my Kindle or my laptop or anything, so I could just stream anything. Like, I have my phone, but I don't really like streaming video on it that much. And my phone was pretty much my phone battery was mostly depleted every time we got back to the hotel. So yeah, I didn't really do too much there. Also, I think I mentioned this in the golf episode too, but of course I got to give my brother his that little birthday present I made for him, the little flash drive that had all those football games put on it. But I actually had to replace it with a different flash drive, because it turns out a 64 gig flash drive is just too small to hold 60 gigs of information. And then, even the 128 gigabyte flash drive was apparently too small to hold certain amounts of information, so I had to go back and reformat it, and I just hope that thing works. Instead, I also threw in the smaller flash drive, which has some audio podcasts on there, so hopefully you could just enjoy those if those don't work. We also took in some fine dining in the Twin Cities. Particularly, I would like to mention a place called Bricks and Bourbon, which is in Stillwater, Minnesota, right on the St. Croix River, the river that's the border between Minnesota and Wisconsin. And they had this black and blue mac and cheese, which was mac and cheese mixed with a blue cheese, and then they had steak tenderloin medallions cut up into it as well. And it was some, I think it was sriracha panko breadcrumbs binding it together. It was really, really good. It was really rich and cheesy and filling and everything. I didn't really get to partake too much in like craft brewery or anything like that because, well, to be honest, most of the places took so long to seat us that I was hungry, and it's like, if I have anything alcoholic, it's going to get absorbed really fast, and, then I'm not going to feel well when I get back to the car. So, yeah, I don't really drink that much, so, yeah, I try to appreciate the times I get to that opportunity. Anyway, the next video is going to be the random trait review on the Unwritten Volume 2 Inside Man, and then the next Madden thing is probably going to be starting Face of the Franchise. See you all next time.